there's some parts of what Brian said are true, but it's good to get going, and certainly been around this team a lot this summer. But anytime you're starting fall camp, it's always a good day, and it's a better day when we get to get on the field, and that'll come tomorrow. But certainly appreciate what this group has done, leading up to this point. And there's, talked to them today, we have 4 phases where we get ready for the season, and it's winter conditioning, spring practice, summer workouts, and all 3 of those, I feel like they've gone well. But the most important phase is fall camp. It's also the shortest one. We've got 25 days, and you get 20 practice opportunities, and we've got to take full advantage of that. And then we get 1 week to prepare for our first opponent, and the season's on us. But so huge focus on being in the moment of camp, and we can get a lot done. And I feel good about this group that way. Enjoy being around them, and I think they're purposeful, and they want to be the best they can be. And so appreciate that out of them, and certainly looking forward to having a really good camp. All right. That's great.
Paul, I know you spoke about this a little bit last week in Indy, but there's the proposal about transfer windows, and obviously your team had 7 guys transfer midseason last year. Do you think that would help coaches and teams if there was just certain times guys could enter the transfer portal, or do you think this current system's okay?
It's like a lot of this, and my brain's spinning right now because I just want to talk about camp. I want to be respectful. You got a job to do. I think when you have a window, I get it, and we can manage it a little bit. I didn't have a problem when it happened, because all right, this guy wants out, then be gone. So I don't know if there's a perfect one, I call him. In managing roster, I think it's part of it, and so there's a lot of stuff that's coming, and we talked about it and last week, and a lot of it's projection. What's this going to be like? Well, I don't know. I work best when what do I know, and then try to focus on that. Transfer, I got a little bit more. You're right, we've gone through it. What the window is, I don't know that I know exactly, because we haven't lived that. I didn't have a problem with the way it did go, but that's what'll be fun about getting going. Is the thing we do know is we get to have camp.
Well, this is year 3 for Vumavic as your punter, and obviously made some strides from 1 to 2. What have you seen from him since the day he got here in terms of his development, and what do you think he can give you this year, perhaps even more last year, if that's possible?
No, I think you're right in that Vu has made improvement, and even I think his hands have gotten better, and I think the hands lead to more consistent drops, and he's certainly kind of, I think anytime a player has the ability to go around the track, and he's gone around it a couple times now, so he knows how to prepare and what to prepare for. I think that it goes under that category, that play. If we're going to be the best team we can be, I think he's got to be a big part of that. And I think it's in him, and he's capable, and I don't think we're asking something that's not real there. And so I think that he has, he is a worker, and he wants to be the best he can be. So the smallest, what I kind of like right now with him is I think he can start to work on some of the little things that oftentimes make a big difference. And so I'm excited. I feel like I haven't seen him punt since Arizona State game. in the bowl game, and so it'll be good to be outside and we can kick. And but I do think he's had a good offseason. He had a really good approach to it, and I think he has made strides, but I think there's still strides he can make.
Lori?
How can you take advantage, if you can, about, with Mark D'Onofrio coming back after being out? Sometimes it can be a fresh perspective, sometimes it can be brutal honesty, brainstorming. I can understand the challenges, but how can you maybe take advantage of it?
I think you hit on a couple of them. There is I think anytime, whether it's a coach like Mark coming in, God bless him. We had it with Gary last year. You see with players that return back to play, there is a freshness and something that maybe you'd like to think you never take it for granted, but perspective. And I think he's also, I love it when you get someone with a whole nother set of background and experiences. And so you can kind of pick their brain about, what do you think about this? And he's not, well, this is what we've done here. I know what we've done here. How can we be better in another way? And, things that he kind of snapped right into. And for him, it's a different assignment that he's been a coordinator for so many years. I know he's really looking forward to, how can he be the best position coach? And he's had great experience in special teams. And I think one of the characteristics that drew us to Mark was that he did have experience coordinating, so therefore he knows probably how to be a better assistant for a coordinator. So I think certainly hate how we got to it, but I feel really fortunate that he's with us and we're going, and I think he's having fun with it. And it's a good group of backers, and that's a group that I think, like a lot of our groups, I was kind of going through and thinking, most every position we're going to have real good competition, and inside backer is certainly one of them. But I think you go across the board, we've got good competition to kind of see how this roster really plays out and what individual roles will be. And so it's been good, but pumped that Mark's here.
Steve?
Just wondering, from the conversations that y'all's staff has had with recruits over the last year, how much do you sense that schools around the country are using NIL as a recruiting weapon, and how has that changed, if at all, since the rule took effect the change took effect a year ago?
Yeah, I mean, it's, it's, the letter of the law is it's not to be used for inducement. I don't think that's the case.
My question is, I was wondering, Jackson from Verona is making the conversion or switch from tailback to fullback. What traits do you see in Jackson that you feel will make him a good fit as a fullback, kind of like maybe in the similar role as Brady Ewing from the past and other fullbacks from Wisconsin?
Yeah, I think what went into Jackson really moving, if you want to say it, to fullback is, I think he's a really talented athlete, and he certainly got good size, good strength, speed. He's got power, and I think he's young right now, but I think he's a guy that can truly keep developing and can be a really good football player. And I think he's a little bit, there's some similarities maybe to Brady. Alec Ingold, his first year played exclusively tailback, and then we moved him. I just think he's a good player, and you try to find a way to have spots for all your good players, and he's certainly willing to do a lot of things. And I think Jackson, it depends how he continues to grow and improve, but I think there's a number of different things you can do with him.
Paul Chase Wolf is entering his 5th season in this program. It's largely been a backup for his whole career. How have you seen him handle that throughout his time here? What are the steps you feel like you've seen him take to put himself in position to be successful if something were to happen to him?
Yeah, I think, Chase is, one of the qualities of Chase I've always liked about him and you continue to see is he is competitive. And, I think competing with himself, loves competing against whoever and whatever. And I think right now I see a guy that's pretty confident too in who he is as a quarterback and what he can bring. And so I'm looking forward to seeing Chase this fall camp and going and there's been different parts. He's been asked different times. Last year was Michigan game, the year before was Minnesota. We're going to be called upon, and none of us know how things are going to play out. But I've liked the way that he's approached everything, and I don't think he's a great team guy. So he's not going to try to be disruptive, but that also can't be confused with he's not a competitor. And I think that's a pretty good. He's balanced that, and he's got a good blend of it where I think he'll go attack it, and I like that. And competition brings out the best in all of us, and I'd like to see some there. And I like what Graham's done, but I think if Chase can get better, it forces Graham to be better. If Graham is better, it forces Chase to get better, and I think those two got to be able to push each other.
This one's about this year's team, don't worry. Awesome. A couple weeks ago, Braylon Allen posted a photo of him, Ches, and Isaac, kind of comparing it to the backfield of Ball, Gordon, and Lincoln and White a few years back. Do you like Braylon kind of having that confidence and that expectation for this backfield this season?
Yeah, and I think they're chasing the right group, and I was lucky to be with that group. And I really like the group that we have right now, and Braylon and Ches and Isaac, so I absolutely do like it.
Nick Herbig has become such a big leader on this team. What do you expect to see from him this season?
No question, he is a big leader for us, and Herbie loves playing the game and loves competition and works his tail off, and I think that's why guys respect him, and that's, I think, therefore why he is a respected leader. And what I want from a lot of our leaders is I want this team's personality to be reflected of them, right? I want this team to take on those guys' personality. Now that's a little bit tricky because Herbie's a lot different personality than Keanu and Tipman and Chim and Graham and whatnot, right? But I want Herbie to be who he is. He's important to this team because of all that he brings and the drive that he has for himself, and therefore what he kind of puts on others. And feel really fortunate, to be with him because that's pretty unique. But he wouldn't ask one thing of his teammates that he wouldn't do himself, and he will do anything for this team. And it's a pretty good example, that we've all got to follow and got to match.
Yeah, what do you want to see from Graham in fall camp and heading into the season just to take that next step as a starting quarterback?
Yeah, I want Graham to play with great confidence and consistency and understand that, he's doing his part when he can make all those around him better, and that's going to involve a lot of different things. There's going to be times where it's going to be squirrely on him and he's got to be able to do it, throwing or putting us in the right play. There's going to be times where it's maybe not as direct, it's getting us out of a bad play or minimizing something that you want, but really want him to trust in himself and go play, but play with consistency and understanding that we got a lot of trust in them, a lot of faith in them, and with that, there's a responsibility. And all of these things we've talked about and he wants, and I'm excited for fall camp for him. I'm really excited for every one of our guys, but certainly Graham, and it's, you know, we got some new faces that he'll be throwing to, and it's getting those guys squared away, getting them on the same page. But what's awesome about that position is you impact the whole team, you know, and kind of with that in mind, handle it the right way.
Jerry. Paul, you've got the list of, for the, you know, the football staff, and just with looking at the recruiting staff in general, are you happy with the scope and the roles that are currently in place right now, or do you feel that you have to add more roles in the future? How do you feel right now?
No, I feel good with the group that we got, and I appreciate the efforts that they've done, and I think, you know, Mickey's done an outstanding job, and you go right down the list of each and every one of them, and I've been impressed with them, and, you know, we've got more now than we've ever had, and, you know, I think we continue to go, and we got to work, and recruiting is all the time, and it takes not just the recruiting staff, it takes all of us. But I like that group, and yet, you know, I think you're always going to keep trying to find ways to get better, but I think a lot of the way this group can improve, we all can improve, is make sure that we're all maxing out and doing our part.
Coach, you talked about staying in the moment during camp. What are the challenges that come with doing that, staying in the moment, but also looking forward to week one opponent and then the season ahead?
Yeah, I think that we are excited, right? You do all this work to play the games, and certainly we know what we're working on, and that's for each and every game. But I don't think it's hard to stay in the moment, because you know you got to take care of this before you get to that. And so I think it's probably what drives you to stay in the moment, right? You know the games are coming, so how do I take advantage of those games? Make the most out of today, make the most out of the moment we're in right now.
Paul, last week we rolled out its plan for academic payments to players. I was wondering if you had any input in that, or asked to give input on that, and what it was, and maybe what it would have been if you didn't actually have the input, to help shape how that's going to work, especially with most of it being tied to graduation.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the, you know, the input that you know, Mac and others have asked. Here's what we're thinking. What do you think about it? And, you know, we're talking about one thing I do agree with, and like if you're talking about true academic, you know, how do we reward academic success? Pretty good barometer saying if you graduate, that's worth something. And, you know, that's a good starting point.
Time for probably one more. Paul, with that outside linebacker group, and how have you seen Bobby recruit and put together that group of players, and what should their expectations be for this season?
Yeah, I think Bobby does a great job, and I think he's a heck of a coach. And to me, you know, coaches, you coach your players and you recruit. And I think he's got a room that has great competition in it. They got a great approach to every day. And, you know, that's one of those, like I said, every position's got it. You know, I'm looking forward to seeing that group compete. You know, I'm looking forward to each individual in that room continuing to grow. You know, there's some youth in it. You know, I feel great about Herbie, and he's done a lot of stuff. And yet I don't care who you're talking about, you go down that list, and I get excited about them. And I know they put the work in, and Bobby does a great job preparing them for it. And so it's, I like that group of time, you know, and I think they all bring something a little bit different to it. And so I think that'll be a fun part of camp, is kind of how does that play out, and how the guys are in their roles there.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
We will move out to the field and join you out there in about